Go, Shawn.
Stall him up. All right. So, for me, my pawpaw was my hero. Shit, he still is my hero. And for those of you not familiar with African American culture, pawpaw is my grandfather. So my grandfather and my grandmother, they set in motion a culture in my family, a culture of love and honor and respect, motherhood, fatherhood, and most of all, service to family and those in need. My grandfather was my hero most of all because after my father abandoned my mother, my sister, and I, he became that male energy that I needed to have around me at such a young age to grow into a proper man. My grandfather was really wonderful at being there and being in those spaces that I needed him to be in. My father, to this day, we have no relationship. I don't know him. I'm 53 years old, and the last time I may have talked to him was when I was probably about 3. So my grandfather, my whole life has been the man I've imitated. He was, he was in the Navy. He joined the Navy at 26, and he joined the Navy to care for his then 4 children. Him and my grandmother had married early. He was 18, she was 15, and they had lived a life they had seen too much as young people, so they wanted to get together and live their life together, and they did that. They raised 8 children, 5 sons, 3 daughters, right? And he made time for me as his grandson, knowing that my father was not involved. My cousin as well was going through the same situation. Unfortunately for our culture at that time, deadbeat dads were everywhere. And it didn't matter what color you were. It was just, it seemed to be a time. But my grandfather stood in. He would take me to the zoo. And it was the first time I'd ever been to the zoo. It's a vivid memory of him walking me to every single cage, telling me about the animals, where they were from, and what they liked to eat, and everything else. Later on, I would figure out he was reading it off the thing. But that's, as a 4-year-old, he was just everything for me. So, fast forward, I'm 17, I joined the Navy because my grandfather's a Navy man. I joined the Navy, I get into boot camp, and I figure out, well, I've signed up for something. It was probably one of the most difficult things I ever do in my life. And I graduated. So when I graduated, every Friday, at Great Lakes Naval Recruit Center, there's a graduation. Okay, that's down in Illinois. And you can invite people, but you never know who's gonna come, right? So you're there, and there's this part where we all march past the stands where all the people are. And you hope you get a chance to see somebody, your family or something, your mother yelling and all of that. So as we make the pass, I see my grandfather unexpectedly. And this is a nearly 10-minute procession as we go down, and he's 70. And he's standing at attention, and he's saluting the whole time. And he and my grandmother really set forth this culture of family and service and being there for each other. My aunt could call from Milwaukee, 8 hours away from St. Louis, and tell my grandfather that our car was broke. And he would be there. He would pack up the van, and whoever wanted to come, they would come. Right? And next thing you know, here was Papa in St. Louis, right, or in Milwaukee, fixing cars, telling us everything. He set the bar for my manhood because as a young age, you're with your mother and your sister all the time, right? And you don't get to do nothing. They correcting you every time. You can't say bad words. You can't say a word out of the way. You can't say ain't. You can't say nothing. So me and my cousin would go to my grandfather's house and watch him work on his car. This one time that released me from all of that other stuff and let me know that I too was a man was that I farted. I farted. And he said the famous 12 words, "It is better to fart in shame than to bust a vein." Thank you.